What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and first off, happy March Madness to all of you guys who are going to watch the college basketball games today. But coming up on today's show, I do want to do a deep dive into Rondale Moore. The Vikings signed him last night around 6:30. Sorry I couldn't get that video for you guys right away. I had some stuff going on, but I did want to do a deep dive here into possibly the Vikings' new wide receiver 3 and why I think this is a sneaky great move for your Minnesota Vikings. But before we dive into it, I do want to get you guys an updated look at our race to 55,000 subscribers. We are only 308 away. I mean, we hit 54K last week, and the support you guys show on the channel is unreal. So if you guys could hit that sub button, maybe we could hit 55K by the end of this weekend for one of my favorites, Anthony Barr. So go down there, hit that sub button today. All right, so the number one thing about Rondale Moore that I love is this guy is a freak athlete. Now, he is only 5'7", a tinier wide receiver, but this guy is one of the better athletes we have ever seen hit the NFL scouting combine. His 40-yard dash when he was coming out of Purdue, he ran a 4.29. Unreal stuff. And then his vertical jump was 42.5 inches. So just pound for pound, this guy is one of the best athletes we have in the National Football League. And I also think what's funny about the Vikings signing Rondale Moore is Rondale Moore has cooked the Vikings in his 2 games throughout his NFL career so far. He actually had his longest reception when the Vikings were playing the Cardinals in Arizona. It was Kyler Murray rolling out to his left, and he found Rondale Moore just butt naked down the left sideline. He took it for 77 yards to the house. But in 2 games, he had 14 receptions, 206 yards, found the end zone in each of the games, and he was a playmaker. I always think it's funny when a player goes off against a team, and then the team is like, hey, we want to go bring this guy in our organization. I'm sure the Seahawks felt the same way about Sam Darnold when Sam Darnold came to their house last season, threw a game-winning touchdown, and then Darnold ended up in Seattle. But my take on Rondale Moore. Now, listen, I don't think this is a complete needle mover on the wide receiver room. Like, he's not going to compete with, Jefferson or Addison to take over their spots. But I do think he would be a great combo with Jalen Nailor for that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. And this also gives you some insurance when Jordan Addison does have to face that suspension. But this guy, listen, he is a stud. And he didn't play this past season in 2024. He was out for the season with a knee injury, signed with the Atlanta Falcons. But when he was with Arizona Cardinals, in very limited opportunity, and listen, they ran this guy like a gadget guy, just a lot of screens. So, yes, the yards per catch don't look too extreme. Just, only one season over 10. But also, I didn't love the Cardinals offense they were running that season. It was a little gimmicky, and I just felt like they weren't using him in the right way. And, the thing I love about just being a Vikings fan right now is, you have these guys that have unreal talent. And with the organization and the culture we have, you would bring these guys into the building, and you would hope they would reach their max potential of their game. When you have a guy like Rondale Moore, who is hyper athletic, he is a problem with the football in his hands. If you were to bring him in, hopefully he can kind of reach what his potential was when he was coming out of the draft, coming out of Purdue, as he could have been one of the best gadget guys in the league. And I can't wait to see the Kevin O'Connell package he has for him. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of jet sweeps. We're going to see a lot of bubble screens. We're going to see a lot of deep posts, just streak routes. And he is somebody that defenses have to account for. And he's just going to add a whole nother wrinkle to this Vikings offense that I can't wait to see. But the wide receiver room, when Addison is suspended, I honestly like it a lot. You still got Justin Jefferson. He's going to draw enough attention where, the 2, 3, and 4th wide receiver in these games, they should get a lot of one-on-one opportunities still. Kevin O'Connell will be able to scheme them up. And Rondale Moore, Jalen Nailor, and Tristan Jackson, if those are your 3 you're running behind Jefferson, you still got Hockenson. You probably will have an improved run game this season. I think the Vikings will be just fine without Jordan Addison. And that's why, honestly, I would have liked the Vikings to go get Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, or obviously Cooper Kupp before he signed with the Seahawks. But also thinking back on it, the Vikings didn't need to make a move for a big-time wide receiver 3. It would have been nice. It would have been more icing on that kind of Super Bowl roster cake that we have, but it was not a dire need whatsoever because when you have a top-end talent like a Justin Jefferson, he makes everybody in that room better. Just one, on the field, him getting all that attention, but also off the field with Jefferson, he is such a hard worker and such a great leader. And that's also why I have such a love for number 18 is because he is no diva in him whatsoever. He is all about winning. He is all about the game of football. And when guys like Rondale Moore, Jalen Nailor, Tristan Jackson, even Jordan Addison see Justin Jefferson working so hard, they're like, man, that's the best in the league. He's working hard like that. I got to go work hard like that. And that speaks to this culture that is in the Vikings organization. But what say you on this one? Should the Vikings sign another wide receiver? Or are you cool with the group as it stands right now? You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. I think I'm cool with the Vikings rolling out with this squad. I honestly don't even think they should draft one at this point. Now, if a guy like Luther Burden's there at 24, I would have some intrigue. But, hey, you guys let me know. Should the Vikings sign another wide receiver? Now, after the Vikings picking up another wide receiver in Rondale Moore, I just want to go over quickly my top 5 draft targets as it stands right now for the Minnesota Vikings. This is in no particular order. This is actually what I think is most likely to be the pick. And I think the Vikings, if I had to call it, I think they're going to go offensive line in round 1. Now, will they just go BPA? I think that's their most likely and probably their best route here. But if you are targeting an offensive lineman, I really like the idea of Gray Zabel. He's got a lot of versatility on the offensive line. He can play offensive tackle, but he can also play some center as well. So if Ryan Kelly goes down, you can just plug him in there. You can still have Blake Brandel at left guard. And the part also about the Vikings that I love right now and how they're set up specifically on the offensive line, like they can just tell Blake Brandel, hey, you and this rookie, you're going to battle it out. I would assume Brandel would still start for the first month or two. But then let's just say he starts struggling. You could just plug in whoever that first rounder is, whether it's Tyler Booker or Gray Zabel. I just think the Vikings are in a great spot in terms of who they could draft at pick number 24 here. But also another guy that you guys know I'm a big fan of, Nick Eamon, physical freak out of South Carolina. He's got great instincts as well. And, I've said it countless times here. Like, Brian Flores, if he had to make one pick in the NFL draft, I bet you Flores is telling Kwesi, like, hey, man, get me Eamon. He could be the safety of the future after Harrison Smith. And also, if you want to have a little more incentive to Brian Flores staying in Minnesota, you could say, hey, we drafted Eamon for you. We brought in Van Ginkel, Cashman, Grenard, which are all signings Brian Flores wanted to happen. And a project player like Eamon, I mean, I'm sure Brian Flores, just that defensive secondary itch he has to develop that guy, would come out. Would it keep Brian Flores in Minnesota for maybe an extra year? I have no idea, but I definitely think it would make it a harder decision for him to leave if he does get head coaching jobs in the future. And also, I would have full faith in Flores turning Eamon into one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. But another guy I'm a big fan of, and you guys know this, is Kenneth Grant. Now, Kenneth Grant, I think if the Vikings make this pick, this is a long-term play. I don't think Grant would come in and, he would get 1,000 snaps year one just because of how stacked the defensive line is with Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. But I do like the idea of bolstering that defensive line for the future because, listen, Dallas Turner only got like 350 snaps this past season, but he is a stud. I still believe in him. And if you would have a young defensive line combination of Kenneth Grant and Dallas Turner, I think that would be awesome. So Kenneth Grant, if he's there at 24 and he's the pick, I mean, I might pop a bottle of champagne here when we're live watching the NFL draft. But also a guy who's been mocked to the Vikings a couple of times over the last 2 weeks, Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas. Now, this guy is a versatile corner. He can play inside. He can play outside. And Brian Flores hears that, and he's just licking his chops, wanting to get his hands on him. But I still have my doubts that Jahdae does fall to the Vikings at pick number 24. I think it's a little unlikely just because, listen, I'm a big fan of him, so I probably would assume these NFL GMs view him as the second best corner in this year's class behind Will Johnson. Honestly, if you made an argument he's better than Will Johnson, I wouldn't really bat an eye at it. That's how high I am on this guy. But if he is on the board there at 24, still have a need at that second cornerback, I mean, Jahdae Barron would be a home run pick for the Vikes. But J.J. McCarthy's former high school teammate, Tyler Booker, they were teammates at IMG Academy during his senior season. And when J.J. played Booker in the Rose Bowl 2 seasons ago, Booker came up to JJ after the game, was like, hey, man, go win the big one. But this guy, he did not post a good RAS score, and I think that could cause him to fall in the draft. This guy's just a good football player. He's got great technique. He's a mauler, and he had a quote at the scouting combine where he was like, I make players fall out of love with the game of football. Like, I love that badass mentality from the offensive linemen. So those are my 5 guys, but you guys predicted for me. Who do you think the Vikings will draft at pick number 24? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. If I had to call right now, I think I'm going to go Eamon. I think he'll be the pick. I think he'll fall to the Vikes at 24, and then I think Brian Flores will be, screaming at Kwesi, take him, take him, take him. So I think that's what's going to go down here in about a month from the NFL draft. But also I'm on Twitter, at Pat Siepman, the Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, let's go Vikes.